Welcome to Intimacy Evolution, the podcast that helps you enjoy deeper connection and more intimacy in your relationships. I'm Brianna Carey, relationship and intimacy coach, and together with my husband Mark, a licensed professional counselor, we're here to help couples create the relationships they crave. Relationships evolve over time, and that's okay. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to Intimacy Evolution. We have Dr. Stephanie Sigler. Did I say that correct?
Yeah, Dr. Stephanie.
Dr. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, I am really intrigued by the conversation that we're going to have today. Like I
Good.
was saying before, we have not had anyone on our podcast and haven't mentioned this topic yet. So I am ready for you to enlighten all of us with your knowledge. Um,
I love that. And I will enlighten as much as I can.
Can you
Mhm.
please tell us more about you, and how you got into the work that you're doing today?
Sure. So I am a licensed professional counselor, a clinical sexologist. I have my PhD in clinical sexology. I have a private practice, or should I say, have a group practice now. And I have a coaching business because I'm licensed in 4 states, but because I'm not licensed all over the world,
Mhm,
I can kind of still see my coaching clients on a different platform and
mhm.
still they get the same me, same information, but it's just a different kind of atmosphere. My specialty is ethical non-monogamy. I travel all over the world and I teach all kinds of fun classes to those in alternative relationships. I actually just wrote the book for counselors on how to work with couples who are in alternative style relationships. And so hopefully it's a guide because sex therapy is expensive and we don't get that in our training. And so hopefully counselors can pick this up and use it and run with it. And none of my community, and I say my community because I am part of the swinger community, the ethical non-monogamy community. And I hope that none of my community never get turned away from counseling again. That was my goal.
Yes. Woo! You're doing lots of good stuff. I'm excited. There's so many things that I wanna double click on there. Um, First, let's talk about more about what you mean when you say that people are getting turned away. Count
So sex therapy, we go training our graduate training, we get our masters, we go through all of these wonderful classes, but they don't teach the students about sex therapy. We get
mm,
4 hours of human sexuality, and that's it. So we're not talking about alternatives, but so we're not getting that training that they need. And so when I was a therapist, which I still am, but every time I said
you're
what I was doing was I was in the swinger community, going around talking to my friends, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we can't find a counselor that'll work with us." And they kept telling me the counselors turn us away because they tell us it's our lifestyle that's the problem. If we were monogamous, everything would be better, but it's because of our lifestyle that we are having all of these issues. And I'm like, no, it's not your lifestyle. You just can't communicate. And so then I started learning more and more about how they were getting turned away and how they weren't being able to even see a couples counselor because the couples counselor didn't know how to work with them.
right.
And even if they did, they were telling him it was because of their lifestyle. And so I started a program for clinical sex therapy and or clinical sexology and got my doctorate in it. And that's what I study. And I talk about sex and
Mm,
relationships all day long with people in the lifestyle. I educate people who aren't in the lifestyle. And my specialty is to take couples who want to be in the lifestyle, but they don't really know how to navigate it and help them navigate it safely and
yeah.
help them navigate it the right way because we all fumbled. We all stumbled when we went into it. And there's a right way and a wrong way. And
Mm,
even if when I teach you, quote unquote, and I'm using air quotes, the right way, there's always another way and you're always going to mess up. This is just a way to kind of open that communication. So that's why I went into clinical sexology. And then I started the podcast because there were so many swingers who are I call it, I shouldn't say swingers. There were so many people in alternative relationships
mm,
that weren't getting the counseling. So I started the podcast so I could start educating people. And then it turned into the TikToks. And then it turned into me traveling the world. Then it turned into the books. And so the people need this education because the education is not there.
yeah.
And there's so much miseducation that we automatically assume that people who do not have the traditional monogamy heterosexual relationships are all terrible. They're all bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so
Or that their
I'm trying to change
relationship's
that
not
narrative.
fulfilling enough, so they have to go outside of their relation and it's like, that's not it at all. Um,
Not at all.
oh my gosh. I love what you're doing. I love that you're talking about this. And so kind of backing up a little bit, you said you found the need for this because you were in this alternative lifestyle already.
Hmm.
And do you wanna talk about that a little bit more about, like, how
Sure.
long were you in
Yeah.
that, and what did you notice as you were entering this lifestyle? Um, what kind of intrigued you to get into that, and what was that for you?
So it was my ex. He has been, or he was part of the lifestyle. I'm not sure if he still is, for a very long time. And when we started dating, he was very open and honest and said, this is what I do. This is what I'm into. If you don't think you can handle it, I get it. And I was like, I've always been different. I've always had a different take on relationships. I've always had a different take on sex and
Mhm.
all of that. I've just always been different, but I didn't know that different was okay until I found this community. And then I found thousands of people just like me. And I'm like, oh, so I'm not so weird after all. And it just became it was almost like coming out, if I was, well, I am bisexual, but if I was coming out to my parents, it was like I found something. I found a home.
Yeah.
And then I was able to talk about me being bisexual, and I was able to explore that side of me, and I was able to explore all of the great things that the lifestyle brings to relationships.
Mhm.
Deeper communication. I didn't know how to communicate in a relationship before this. I mean, we're not taught that in school.
No.
So I learned all of these critical skills when I was in the lifestyle. And was it easy? Absolutely not.
Mm.
And then, we separated, and after that, I just continued, and I don't, like I said, I don't know what he does, but I know what I do, and I wanted to start focusing with these couples because when I would get to the resorts or I would go to the parties and we're just there,
Mhm.
I was having to work. I mean, they're like, "Oh my gosh, so and so's fighting, or so and so's this," or we have disturbances, like they're arguing. You mix drugs, alcohol, and sex, and you're just it's a
Asking for
recipe for disaster, right? And so we were going to these trips and I was spending more time working and I was like, yeah, I think I just need to kind of transition into something where I can make money doing this.
Yeah.
Because it's fun to go and it's fun to travel, but what if my travel
That's
paid me to go?
sure of, yeah.
Found a niche and I am riding this high until the wave kicks me off.
Yeah. No, that's incredible, and like you said, there's just so much misinformation out there about it. And
Mhm.
so, like I was saying before we started recording, with Mark's background being a licensed professional
Yep.
counselor, definitely understand that avenue of like they're not educated in this specialty. And even somewhat what we find, marriage and postpartum isn't quite up to par with where it needs to be for couples as well. And um I was going somewhere. My brain.
Well, I want you to ADHD, and I'm gonna jump in right there.
Yeah.
I got you, girl. So, you just said couples aren't educated.
Mm.
We are not taught how to communicate effectively with our partners,
No.
period.
Yeah.
And then we see what our parents and how they communicated, or our significant, or not significant, excuse me. We see how our primary partners
Mm.
that we grew up with. Maybe it was your aunt and uncle, maybe it was your mom and dad, whoever raised you,
Yeah.
right? We see their dynamics and their partnership,
Mhm.
and we mimic those because that's what we know. But my question is, was it healthy? Probably not.
Mhm.
And so we're following these unhealthy patterns, and nothing changes if nothing changes. And so I was doing that in my own relationship. I was doing that. You know, it was just we were these unhealthy communication patterns, and then the
Mhm.
lifestyle really helped me bring out my inner ability to truly communicate my needs and desires.
Yes.
And it also made me figure out what they were. People get married, especially okay, I'm from the South, from Texas. We get married and no sex before marriage. You're not
Mhm.
supposed to do that. That's sin. We're going to hell. But it's on your wedding night, bam, all this knowledge is supposed to just flood in your head and you're supposed to know how to do it. No one talks about it. No one teaches it, but you're just supposed to know how to do it.
Mhm.
And that's the most asinine mindset I've ever heard in my life. And
Yeah.
so I really want to, and I can't do it in public pools because, it's government, but I can, as much as I can on TikTok and on Facebook and all of the
Mhm.
platforms, try to educate people on how to be better partners. And I think that's one of the main things is you have to be the best version of yourself. Now, granted, the best version of yourself may not be 100%. It may be 50% some days.
Yeah.
And that's okay too, but you have to communicate that. And the missing piece is that communication. We expect our partners
Mm.
to read our minds because they're supposed to know us.
Mhm.
And we don't remember that Well, sometimes we can wake up in a bad mood and it's okay. Sometimes we can not have the 100% day and that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to communicate that and make sure
Um,
that our partners know that so they can pick up the slack.
for sure. Yes. Yes. So I love this because I resonate so much with what you're saying. I was
Yeah.
a sexual health educator for 16 years. I wanted to revamp the education system in schools, and I was like, "That's a lot of red tape. How about I just
Yeah.
sell Vibrate and educate women and then couples on, sexual education in their bodies,
Mhm.
and then they can feel comfortable talking to their kids as they grow up." So, kind of shifted in that way, and so, like you're saying, there's just, back to my thought earlier, was like, there's just so much misinformation or very little information out there, and when Mark and I started having clients come to us too, we had to, like, go and dig for information, and so I
Yeah.
love that you're, like, very present and out there and sharing this knowledge. Um, what are some things. Yes, talk about that.
That book is got it. It's treatment plan.
Yeah.
No, and that's exactly the reason why I did that. That was because there was just there was no information out there. Now, granted, this is just alternative relationships, but it's a
Mhm.
step in the right direction. If we could start normalizing this and normalizing just the sex talk, like it's
Mhm.
okay. Everybody does it.
Yeah,
Everybody, or,
yeah.
why don't we talk about it?
Mm.
Let's do it
The
healthy.
more we talk about, yeah, we talk about it, you get to communicate your desires, you get to,
Mhm.
um, take ownership of your pleasure. I think that's another thing that we are
Well, we're
missing,
not supposed to
and
be.
we're not.
We're not supposed to have to pleasure. We're women. We're
Mhm.
supposed to have babies.
Yes.
And, pleasure doesn't matter for us.
Yeah.
That that is the mindset for generations upon generations upon
Yeah,
generations, and
and we're trying to break
I
the cycle
am
now.
yeah, I'm so thankful that the millennials I'm an exennial, I'm an old millennial, so I'm right between the Gen X and the Z I mean, the
Millennial. Yeah.
millennials. Well, I call myself an exennial. Um, and the younger millennials, younger than me, they're the ones who really opened that conversation and was like, no, this isn't right. Like, why can't we? And, the millennials get a very bad rap on a lot of things, but damn it, they did that well. And I'm so thankful for them.
Yes. Yes, yes, I love that. Um, so you saw this need
hmm
in this community. What are some things that you notice that bring people into the lifestyle? And because, like we said, it's not, these people don't have an unfulfilling relationship. This is actually to help enhance and enjoy the experiences together.
Absolutely.
And so when you see people, what's bringing them into it? What are some challenges that they face? And what are some recommendations you give to them as they're beginning this journey? That was a lot.
Sure.
That was.
No, no, I get it. The very first thing is I want them to explore their why. Why
Mhm.
do you want this? Now, the number one reason that I hear is, well, I'm bored or I want something extra. This is supposed to this the lifestyle is an enhancement. It's not supposed to distract. So they want to enhance that intimacy. Ground rules right now.
Mhm.
You do not get into the lifestyle if you are not in a very solid place with your partner. It will not fix your marriage. It is not supposed to be used as something that will correct all of the BS behind you. This
Yeah.
is something that you enter into when you are a solid couple. Now, sometimes my couples come to me and they're not solid yet, and we work to get solid, and then we start the process of opening up. But
Yeah.
unless I feel like their foundation is really, really good, I don't encourage it. But
Mhm.
once we get there, once we're there, we do and I do all this work, like, they take all of these couples quizzes before, I have the Gottman test that I give them, I do all of that so I know intimately what their relationship and their dynamics are like. They can't lie to me.
Love that.
And then we move into the, "Okay, now let's see." So let's say that they have a solid foundation. The first thing I'm gonna ask is why? Why do you want this?
Mhm.
They're either, "Well, I want something new. We want to kind of freshen up our marriage. We wanna liven up our relationship. We're looking for something we just don't know, or, we saw it on TikTok and it looked really cool." Whatever. I get it all. So then I have them write out their why, and I
Mm.
have them really there's a worksheet that they do individually, and then we come together and we discuss it. We don't even we have all of these steps before we even go to their first party because I need them to make sure they're ready. I throw so many scenarios at them.
Mm.
Let's close your eyes, get into your body. and I tell them a scenario. How did that make you feel? How did it feel when I guided your husband to uh, go down on another woman
Yeah.
in your mind?
Yeah.
And some of them are like, I can't handle that. Okay, well, then what are we doing here? And some of them are
Mhm.
like, oh, it turned me on. And
Yeah.
great. And so we kind of start testing that in the office, and I give them all the scenarios. We talk about rules, boundaries, and agreements
Mhm.
right off the bat. What are your hard no's? So, the guiding activity, some people are like, "Ooh, I'm okay if they have sex, but I don't want them to kiss."
Yeah.
Okay, that's a boundary.
Yeah.
Put it down. And we go down through what kind of hair color, I
Mhm.
mean, some people are so specific about what they don't want because it's past trauma or past triggers and they
Sure.
just don't want
Yeah.
it. And it's not that they're being and I get this so many times. People are like, "Oh, well, you're discriminating." No, it's not about discrimination. This is about preference. You don't know their past.
Yeah.
You don't know. So this is about preference. And we write it all down. We make those boundaries, rules, and agreements. We
Mhm.
talk about everything. And then they go to their first event and they start trying out some of this stuff
Mhm.
and seeing how it feels. I don't want them to necessarily play with others at that event,
Yeah.
but I want them to start meeting people. I want them to start seeing that we are just common teachers, professionals, lawyers, judges,
Mhm.
home mothers. We're just natural, normal people
Yeah.
who maybe have a little bit of a kinky side to us that we want to explore, and that's okay
That's
too.
okay.
And so once they go to these meet and greets and they start meeting people, then I have them maybe start talking. Maybe we start a four-way chat
Mhm.
conversation. And we work up to it. So many times, so many times I get clients who have been in the lifestyle for years and they come to me and they're having all of these issues because they didn't start with that solid foundation. And now we're having to go back and start all over.
Yeah.
And which is fine too. And I do that regularly. I would
Yeah.
rather catch you front end, but hey, sometimes we all trip and fall. I get it.
Yeah.
Trip and fell right into a swingers party and here we
Yeah.
are. Right. And so now we're trying to fix it.
Right.
And it's one of those things where you have to have these conversations and hmm, this understanding that you decided to do this with your partner. Y'all decided as a couple to do this.
Yeah.
There are going to be things that hurt. There are going to be things that we don't even know yet that might trigger you and hurt you in some way.
Right.
Cannot push that on your partner. You chose this together.
Yeah.
We can come back in here. We can talk about it. We can talk about how it happened, what we're going to do next time, what triggered this. We go sometimes, when I'm doing sex therapy, it's not about sex at all. It's about going so much deeper than just sex.
Mhm.
It's about what triggers them, why that smell makes them feel this way, and why that texture, they don't like the vinyl, or maybe they're attracted to the pleather, whatever is we go so deep into their psyche, like, why?
Yeah.
Let's learn about you.
Yeah.
And then we, kind of transition. But so it's all about what this can do, why we want it. And if it's not enhancing your relationship, then we don't do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. Yeah, like you said, we call them oopsies and ouchies, when things,
Mhm.
like, happen, you're like, "Ooh," like, you don't know what you don't know until you're in those scenarios and experiencing what is happening. Do you recommend after these, experiences that they have, like, a debriefing session?
Absolutely.
I
They
love that.
debrief together and then they debrief with me.
Okay.
And so after they go out, they have I have a guided I'm telling you, I made it, it's in the book. They have a guided questionnaire. What did you like? What didn't you like? What, did was there anybody that was interesting to you? Why were they interesting?
Mm,
We want to talk about all of that. And this is like the first meet and greet, right? And we're just kind of, was there a couple that stood out to you?
mm,
And we kind of talk about all of that, or they're talking about that as they drive home, right? And was there anything that I said or did that made you angry? Was there anything I said or did that made you happy? All of those things. We're going to explore all of that. Now, on their first play date, we have our boundaries, rules, and agreements. And a play date is where they've actually set it up. They're going to go play with a couple.
mm,
They're going to go, whether it's soft swap or full swap, they're going to go play.
yeah.
And so from there, after they play, we come back in and like we schedule the session like probably the next day if we can. And it's how did you like that? What was the feelings? What were the good parts? What were the bad parts? Did something trigger you that you didn't know that you had that trigger?
Yeah.
And then we also reevaluate the boundaries. Are these boundaries okay? And most of the time, most of the time they come back and they say, we don't need all these boundaries. I'm like,
Mm.
I know. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Everybody
Just
starts
nice
off with a
to
book.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they start reducing
And
boundaries, or they start being more specific about them.
yeah.
Like I kissing. Okay. Well, the biggest one is I don't want my partner kissing anybody. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, after the first play date, they're like, that's almost impossible not to do. So
Maybe.
I don't, that's going to bother me that much anymore.
Yeah.
And, and then we add that to or take it away from the contract,
Mhm.
the relationship contract. And so one of the things that is a sticking point is that when we are in the moment, we make these relationship contracts before we go into an event. And before every event, you should make one. You should, they're on my website, they're in my book, they're everywhere. You can find them all over. And you kind of talk about what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We go into this knowing. Now, here's the caveat to that. You cannot change that contract in the moment. You
Mhm.
have to do it afterwards. So that's when they bring the contract back in after, they've done the activity, the event,
Mm.
we'll call it an event. And we talk about, did this work? Did that work? Was there something that you wanted to add? Is there something you want to take away? Because we don't change it in the moment.
Y
That's just a hard no.
yeah, because it's too easy to have all of the excitedness, and you can be like, "Well, it's okay." Like, "Oh,
Mhm.
yeah." But then that's how you get the oopsies and ouchies, and you don't want that.
Exactly how you get those.
Yeah. Gosh, I love this. So, can we talk about you said, if they go to that first experience and they start talking, they meet somebody, then they start like a four-way chat.
But we have messaging apps.
Keeping yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You can, everybody has them. You can use Telegraph or Telegram. I don't know what it's called. I don't use that one. I use WhatsApp.
Okay.
There's actual platforms like SDC is a dating platform for couples to find other couples. There's SLS, there's Cassidy, all of those really good websites, and you can message through that.
Mhm.
But if you're going to take it off the website, I always recommend that it's a four-way chat because nobody can say there was secrets and no one can say, oh, I don't remember that or that didn't happen or what are you talking about?
Mhm.
Even if one partner isn't responding as much, they're there and they can read it.
Yes.
That's the huge part. You cannot break away and do something separately. We're doing this as a couple.
Mhm.
And I say that I know that if that is your boundaries, rules, and agreements, and you play by yourself, if you're a hot wife or what of those things, that's completely different. We have a
Yeah.
whole set of protocols for that too. This is for couples who are going to meet other couples and want to start
Mm.
talking to another couple.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so good. Again, just keeping it because it's again
Mhm.
enhancing your relationship, and like you said, if there's other things that you are wanting to do separately, but that's in your boundaries and
Mhm.
agreements. Um, what about some people may like be and again, that this is probably in your agreements and boundaries and stuff, but like safety and,
Mhm.
you know, um, STI testing
I
and,
love that you're bringing this up.
substance use during these experiences. Like, can we go into that some more too?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to hit the STI first.
Mhm.
So the alternative community has a very bad rap. Oh, we're dirty. We don't take care of our sex. We're having sex with everybody, yada, yada, yada.
Mhm.
Statistically, we are one of the cleanest communities because we get tested so often. We are not just taking care of us, we're taking care of our partners,
Mhm.
we're taking care of our significant other, we're taking care of an entire community because, we go to these play parties or we go to these conventions and, whatever happens behind closed doors happens. It's up to you. But if you're going to be sharing yourself with lots of people, you have to keep yourself healthy
Yeah.
and safe. And there are companies, I'm partnered with a company called Shameless Health and Shameless Care, excuse me. I'm partnered with a company called Shameless Care, and Shameless Care is a healthcare company that sends your STI test to you. Now, one thing that when you go to get a full panel, and this is huge. When you go to your doctor and you're like, I need a full panel, great. They're going to test, all of the things, but they're not going to test your throat. And what people don't understand is you can get gonorrhea and chlamydia in your throat
Mm.
and it's asymptomatic and you're spreading it and you don't even know it.
Ooh.
So when you get like with Shameless Health, Shameless Care, shit, I'm going to get that right in a second. with Shameless Care, they send you the kit. It's a throat swab, urine sample, and a little bitty itty bitty finger prick. I did it on. I have a podcast, or excuse me, a YouTube over it. I did it. It was easy, and now they've incorporated the anal swabs. So all of that comes into your kit.
Okay.
You do what it says. You send it off, and it comes to a portal. So when I go to a convention, or if I go to a play party or something to like that,
Mm-hmm.
and before I play with anybody, I ask, "Can I see your result? Or when was
Mm-hmm.
the last time you were tested? Can I? Here's mine. Can I see yours?" And there, it's just simple. It's in a portal. We show each other, and we're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But so many times you will not, it takes forever to get someone to swab your throat. No one, that's just not one of those normal things. And one of the things I love about Shameless is that when you keep going, like I get tested if I'm playing a lot, I get tested every 3 months. If I'm not playing, I get tested before I play.
Yeah.
But when I was active, and me and my partner, he would get tested 3 months, I would get tested 3 months. So it ended up we were testing every 6 months, but
Mm-hmm.
the results were 3 months old.
Yeah.
And so that was, going to the testing center or going to my doctor, there's some shame there, there's some stigma. But when you have it sent to you,
Yeah.
that's perfect. You don't even have to, it comes to your mailbox in a discreet package. And so definitely understand that, yes, we keep ourselves very clean. We make sure that we are taking, proper care of everything.
Yeah.
So that is one of the main stigmas that we get a lot is, "Oh, y'all are dirty." Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
bet you've had more than most of us. And yes, an STD, you're gonna get it. It's sometimes you're gonna get them. It's part of the game. I get that, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world either.
Right. Right. Oh, let's I love this. Can you talk more about the classes and workshops and things that you do?
Mhm,
You say you travel for these, so
mhm.
you do like um events at certain places and people specifically
Yes.
come for this? Like, yeah, can we talk about I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have conventions, like Naughty in New Orleans or the Bliss Cruise or Crazy Winter Nights. They're everywhere and they're huge conventions, and it brings together like-minded individuals. Now, a like-minded individual does not mean that they are a swinger, does not mean that they are um, in sex industry at all. It means that they like to be around people who can tell dirty jokes, who can talk about things without shame, who can talk about their sexual preferences and desires without being looked down upon. It's that
Um,
it can be a nudist, anybody who just wants to be nude. If that's your thing, great. It's such an eclectic it's such an eclectic version of different people, and it's amazing when you go to these conventions. It's thousands of people.
yeah.
And so what the conventions offer are classes, all sorts of. So I can talk about mine, which are some of them are your brain on BDSM, the psychology behind the scenes. What happens
Mhm.
to your brain during BDSM? It's not about learning BDSM. It's about why we like that. Why do we get off on that?
Yeah.
And it talks about the psychology behind it. Then I have sexy self-esteem, where we build each other up. We have one that's called fighting fair in relationships, and we talk about how to fight fair, which we'll get to that in a second. And that's for everybody. It's not just for alternative relationships.
Yeah.
Then some of the play shops that we host, or I host, excuse me, um, pleasuring the pearl, pleasuring the penis, blind lust. The This is my new one, Toy Story bedroom edition,
It
um, prostate, or no, what's this new class? The Toy Story is a new one. And then, Penis Pump Palooza is a new one too. And I have all of this stuff there, and I teach people how to use them correctly. No. So, number one, you're not talking about it anyway.
mm,
So, why would you talk about it with them if you're swinging or in an alternative style? They don't need to know that.
yeah.
We talk about age appropriate things. Now, if we have friends coming over a lot, you can tell them they're our friends. We like to hang out, age appropriate conversations.
Yeah.
If you don't want anybody to know, then there's definitely ways to do that. You go out of town to play. You get on the websites and you meet people in different places. You go to conventions, or you go to hotel takeovers, or you go places
Mhm.
to have that experience. You don't do it at home. But what I've found is when people find out, or they're exposed, or they're outed, it is the most relieving,
Mm,
the most it's like you're coming out of the closet, like, just like if you were, gay, lesbian, part of the alphabet, and you are telling your parents for the first time,
Yeah.
"I'm gay." Because and it's just like "Huh, wow."
You get to show up
But,
fully as yourself.
yeah, but some people can't because of positions in government or, whatever, and I
Yeah.
get that. But, so you're not telling your family or your kids about your sex life anyway when you're with your partner, so why would you tell them about this?
Right.
And if they do find out, my go-to sentence is, "I don't have to have sex and experience relationships and love the same way you do. I can do it the way that fits me and my partner,
Yeah.
and we're happy with that."
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy. Yeah.
You don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah.
Kids will find out, and you'd be so amazed at how many like, the kids are like, "Oh, well, okay."
Yeah. And it's almost kinda like I think it's just anything, like, if we, mm, don't talk about sex, if we don't talk about drugs, and they want to go and explore this, they're gonna do it in an unhealthy way or an unsafe way, right? And then we might
Absolutely.
have teen pregnancy and just different things that can come up from those because we're not talking about it. So
Mhm.
being open to have these conversations that there are other ways to have relationships that, like you said, are consensual, that feel good for both partners, that's okay.
Mhm. It doesn't have to look the way society tells us it has to
Yes.
look. It has to fit your lifestyle, your relationship, and your dynamic.
Yeah.
And you can customize it. And there are no two people that have the same dynamic unless they're married. I'm talking about two couples.
Mhm.
Two couples that have the same dynamic. So people are like, "Oh, you're in the lifestyle." So some people automatically assume they equate it to what they do. "Oh, you're in the lifestyle, so you must do this because that's what we do."
Right?
And and that's not what we need. It's not true at all.
Yeah.
It can look anyway. So it can be maybe people just they say they're in the lifestyle, but they never switch partners. They never play with anybody else, but they love the environment.
Yeah.
Look, okay. Maybe they're nudist and they want just to be nude all the time. I didn't know that I was a nudist until I entered this community, and now it's like clothes. Ugh.
Yes.
So
Same.
it's funny because I go to my conventions, like I go to conventions all over, all kinds of conventions.
Mhm.
When I go to I call them sexy conventions, my packing obviously is a lot different. And it's just, it is what it is, topless, whatever. I don't teach that way, but if I'm out
Right.
by the pool topless, that's fine. But when I go to the other conventions, like normal conventions, and I'm like, oh, you have to wear, oh,
Close here?
okay. You have to wear suits? Like, oh, you want me to dress? Oh, that kind of dress up. Oh, I thought you meant that.
Right.
So there's this. I thought you meant a costume. Oh, you meant a suit.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay, got that too. Um, but it's interesting because you have that shift, and we're just big kids. Why do we have to grow up?
Yeah.
Some of the people that I
Well, why does it
teach
have
are in
to be
their
so serious?
exactly.
Yeah, it's so important for us to have play in our life. When you're talking
Yeah,
about, like, the costumes and stuff, I'm like, yes, like, we don't get to
yeah.
dress up enough in our life when we become adults, and it's like,
Every
the
weekend,
costume.
if there's an opportunity for you to dress up somehow, I'm telling you. And then even if you don't, you have the costumes there. You can just put them on and go.
Oh my god.
And you can that brings novelty to your relationship, that keeps
Yeah.
it fresh, that keeps it fun and exciting. And so many times couples get into these ruts
Mm,
where, it's same position, same thing, same, do it once a week because we have to.
yeah.
And it's not enjoyable. It's a job, just clock in, clock out. That's not how sex and intimacy is meant. That's not
Oh.
how relationships are meant. It's meant for you to bond. It's meant for you to enjoy. It's meant for you to have fun. It's meant for you to have pleasure,
Mm,
not just to procreate.
yeah. Yeah, or be there for somebody else's pleasure.
Mhm.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Let's segue into what happens if there is some sort of conflict that comes up. How do you help couples navigate those situations? And we can like segue into your book. Um, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be something that somebody is going to mess up some way, somehow. Something's going to happen, and there's going to be conflict.
Mm,
It's it is what it is. And especially when you're introducing substances or alcohol and sex, drugs, sex, and alcohol.
mm,
That's when that all that comes together, it's a recipe for disaster if you're not communicating healthy
yeah.
or communicating effectively and communicating at all. I mean, just in any capacity. And so when we have these oopsies or these accidents or someone just blatantly breaks the rules,
Yeah.
we take a step back. Why? What was the contributing factors?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a misunderstanding and they didn't understand, or sometimes they didn't, it wasn't a clear boundary. And so we clarify, no, this is what this means, right? And that's we try to take away all the secrets. There should be no guessing games at this. We also go kind of for me and my clients, we go really deep into the psyche of what did you get out of it?
Mm,
Why did you feel like you needed to do that? Is that something that you feel like needs to be incorporated? Can your partner provide that? Is there an alternative? So they're not hurt, those types
mm,
of things. And we're going to evaluate all of the alternatives to keep our relationship safe, our partners happy, and emotionally intact.
yeah. Ooh, I had something come up during that, and I know you've, like, talked about this at the beginning, but so the work that Mark and I do, working primarily with parents with younger kids, something that I hear a lot is the woman is still recovering, or because of all of the other factors of having a baby,
Mhm.
she's no longer wanting to have
Sexual.
sex. Yeah, she's like, "I don't wanna
Mhm.
have sex. Should I let my partner go have sex with somebody else because I don't want it?" And so, do you ever have people that express that? They're like, "I'm just not a sexual person. I don't want that.
Mhm.
So I want my partner to go do this." And
Mhm.
does it come back to the why? Does it come back to, like, "Well, what's going on with you?
Mhm.
And how can we get you to maybe, like, be in."
It's all about the very first thing I ask is, have you have your hormones tested?
No,
You just had a baby, you're all over the place. Where are they? And if you're still breastfeeding, listen,
give yourself
that's out of the question. Just we have to get through those 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 infant years, right?
Mhm.
And let's say we get because I mean, gosh, it's very and I normalize it for partners. It's very normal. She's got a baby on a boob. She's got the poop on her. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
So why would she want to have sex if she doesn't feel sexy? So
And
create the sexy environments,
mm,
create sexy activities. Call your mom and say, "Hey, I need you to come get the baby. I'm gonna give her a bath. I'm gonna run her a bath." And she just
yeah,
take sex off the table and start being romantic,
yeah.
right? But so we start with some of that. And then if we get into it and she's however many months we're done with breastfeeding, we go get hormones checked, we make sure we're all level. If that's still everything's fine, it's a mismatched libido.
Mm,
Okay, great. So we have, and I have lots of clients who have mismatched libidos. I mean, a lot of them.
yeah.
And that's okay. Or so do we want to do this together? Do we want to do this separate?
Mhm.
And I normalize all of that. I normalize that it's okay to not want it as much as your partner. And it's okay to want your partner to go get that from somebody else, but we have to set these boundaries, rules, and agreements. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? I don't want you to come back and it hurt the primary relationship.
Mhm.
Everything is about protecting that primary relationship.
Yeah.
And if you're in a poly dynamic, every relationship might be a primary, and you have to think about the entire polycule. So that gets a little bit more convoluted, and
Yeah.
you sometimes I need legitimate, like, sticker boards so
Diagrams
I can
of
see. Yeah, I mean, it's like I'll have a sticker, I'm like, "Oh," or Post-it note, and I'm like, "Okay, so this one goes with this one now, and this one goes with that one now." And it's fine, I get and I'll do all that, I love that,
Yeah.
but that's a different dynamic. We're speaking more towards the
Yeah.
couples. So I don't want people listening thinking that I'm not acknowledging other forms of alternative relationship.
For sure.
Absolutely. This is just for the couple, and the couple can be gay, lesbian, it can be I mean, it can be asex whatever
Yeah.
it looks like, just a couple. And so, mismatched libidos, you know, it's unfortunately, it's a common thing,
Mhm.
but it's not something that needs to be so detrimental to your relationship that it ends it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the lady comes in and she's like, "I just want him to go get it from somebody else." Wonderful. Then we go through the list. Does this person do they need to be familiar? Do you want it to be random?
Mm,
Do you want them to be able to be seen again? Is this a one and done? Like all of these different questions that I ask. And
sure.
we kind of formulate what the plan is. How are we going to do this? Do you want to be involved in the conversations?
Right.
And map it all out. And then we set them on their way to finding what they want.
Mm. I'm so glad that you are doing this work because I know that this can be a really, like you said, enhancing experience for couples,
Mhm.
and if not done properly, it can be really detrimental to the
Absolutely.
partnership, and so I love that there's people out there like you that are doing this work to support couples, um, and enjoying their relationship however that looks for them.
That's the point. No relationship is going to look the same,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah,
You don't have to be what society tells you that you're supposed to be.
for sure. Oh my gosh. This has been amazing.
Mhm.
I'm like, I could probably just keep asking you questions, but I definitely want to be mindful of your time. So we'll have you on again for sure. And please, is there any last thought that you want to share with our listeners? And then also tell
Absolutely.
everybody where we can find you.
Yes. So it doesn't matter if you are in a heterosexual monogamous relationship, if you're in a hetero or a gay, lesbian, monogamous relationship, whatever, or if you are in a polycule. We all have to communicate,
Mm.
and communication is hard. Communication is difficult, especially if you've never properly communicated the way that to the level that you need to communicate in these types of situations. And I'm always joking saying, I wish my vanilla couples could learn from my ethical non monogamous couples how to communicate. If they could take that, oh my gosh, the world would be a much happier
Yeah.
place. But so that's exactly what I did. I wrote a book about it, and it's a journal. And so this walks you through how to communicate with your partner. And I'm just going to take you through just a few of the steps. So let's say that, and like I said, it doesn't matter your dynamics. Let's say that in the middle of the day your partner does something and it makes you so angry, but it's not the right time to talk about it, and it's not the right time to bring it up, but you're afraid you're going to forget. So what do? You sit and stew on it, and it ruminates, and it gets bigger and it gets bigger and bigger. And then before you know it, we're in a full-blown fight over a French fry on the floor. And it's not about the French fry on the floor, but here we go, right? And so it's just ruminated and it grew. So what this journal does, and this is a living document,
Mm.
is so let's say that I'm going to use a fork and a sink. And I use this example a lot because this is actually one of the things that made me write this book. A couple came in and they were arguing over a fork in the sink. Of course, it wasn't about the fork, but here we go. So how we got them is right here in this little section, she would write fork in the sink, right? She gets it out of her head. She gets it down on paper.
Mhm.
We are going to know that we're going to talk about this. This is the anti-fight journal. We're going to schedule fight nights, anti-fight nights.
Yeah.
But, I call them fight nights because you can always make up after a good fight.
Yeah.
You're not going to argue. You're not going to fight. It's just we're going to talk about these things that have bothered us. And we get them out of our head and down on paper. And we know maybe every Thursday night at 6, we're going to talk about what's on our list. And so I don't have to ruminate on it. I'm not going to forget it. It's here.
Yeah.
What I found is that when we turn on fight nights and we get there, anti-fight nights, and we're looking through the list, we're like, oh, well, that that was silly anyway. And then they find the really big ones, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to write it in an iMessage. Now, here's the thing about the book. When you write a negative, you're going to write a positive.
Mm.
We always counteract it. I love that you've done this. I like that you did. I want some more of that. Thank you. So we're seeing both sides of it. You really pissed me off today, but man, I really like that.
Yeah.
So we decide on our topic. Fight night comes, we decide on our topic. We're going to write an I statement. And I do I statements a little bit differently. I do 4 parts to it. It's we state what they did. So when you left that fork in the sink, it made me feel, and then we're going to flip to our handy dandy feelings chart. And we're going to pick 3 feelings.
Yeah.
It made me feel disrespected. It made me feel inadequate, and it made me feel frustrated.
Mm.
Okay. Because I had just done the dishes and you saw me do the dishes, and, I felt disrespected.
Yeah.
Next time in the future, moving forward, can you open the dishwasher and put the damn fork in the sink? Right? Or what did I do? I told you what made me angry, how it made me feel, why it made me feel that way, and what I want to do different next. So we're not saying, you know what, the effing fork was in the sink. I can't believe you did that. It's not about that. It's about communicating that.
What are we
And
going to change for the next time? Yeah.
exactly. And this is just, like I said, this is just simple.
Yeah.
And I have a whole breakdown of how we're going to do that. Now, another thing is we get on subtopics, right? We're like, oh, well, what about this? And we get off our main point.
Uh-huh.
So there's a box here for subtopics. Write it down, get it out of your head, put it in the box and move on. We'll talk about it later. But if it's stuck there, usually it needs to be written down because it's not going to go anywhere. So get it out of your head, put it down on paper. We'll talk about that later. And then after we've talked about our topics, we've said our statements, we've done the whole process, we've talked about it, we know what we're going to do. We have this section here, and this is what makes this journal so unique. You tell in this journal So our goal was this. We're going to set a goal. Um, did we accomplish our goal? What was the positive? What was the negative? What is our plan of action moving forward? And this is something you can come back to, because if you have ADHD like me and I'm like, man, did we ever talk about that?
Mm.
I can go back and say, oh, we talked about this and this is what we decided. Do we need to renegotiate this?
Yeah.
Or does this need to be changed? And so it's a living document that we can refer back to, and no one can say, well, we talked about that and you said this. No, I can look
Got
on
it
this paper right here,
here.
and in your handwriting, you wrote that.
I love that. Yeah, I was gonna ask, is this something that's one journal and they both get to write in, or do they each have their own journal and then to keep track of?
I designed it for the couple, or actually I designed it for couples and thruples. So there's or however many. However, the couples that are buying it and using it and reporting back to me say that they want their own.
Okay.
And so it does, when they have their own, it takes away the element of the positive, because when you're looking through there, you can say, oh, well, she wrote this, but she also said this. So, okay.
Yeah.
Right. But some
But
high
do they get
conflict couples,
I was gonna say, do they get to share that during fight night or, so they can share like, but here's the thing, then kind of like maybe ending the
Mhm,
conversation with it, like, "I loved that you did this, this, and this, and I felt so loved and supported when blah, blah, blah."
mhm, absolutely.
Oh my god.
Absolutely. And so, and like I said, it's right there. It's in the journal. It's living, breathing. We can talk about it. And so it depends on the high conflict couples. I found it's better if they have two, because they're going to read through it and they don't wait. They're like, what is this? Why did you put that?
Right, right,
And it turns into something big when it shouldn't be.
right.
But if you're not a high conflict couple and it's just like, you left a fork in the sink and I need to talk about it, or there's a fry, or, something to
Yeah.
where it's bothering you, but we need to talk about it, I suggest one.
Okay.
So either way.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so excited. I'm gonna go get it myself and just, like, dig into
Yeah.
it and see all the things. Um, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for just I feel like a very eye-opening
Thank you.
conversation that, like you said, even if people aren't interested in this, it's definitely gonna just give a different perspective and understanding for people
Mhm.
that are in this lifestyle, and, maybe some understanding and grace and not feel
And
like
less
and
judgment and
yes,
stigma.
yes, 100%. Please tell our listeners where they can find and connect with you.
Absolutely. You can find me on all social media platforms, but the best way is evolveyourintimacy.com. And that has all my social media links on it. It has my calendar for where I travel. It has the book links. It has everything, my podcast. So the best way, and if you need to reach me, there's a section called Ask Stephanie. You can go on there and send me questions. But that's the best way to find me, is on the website. And then I'd love for you to go to all my social media platforms, like, subscribe, share, do whatever it is, thumbs up it. I don't know.
Mm.
Everything's
All
different
the
now.
things are different, yeah. But we'll have
Yeah, I'm just trying.
yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll definitely have the links for all of that in the show notes. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Dr. Stephanie. This was such a great conversation. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. And I appreciate you and the work you're doing, because that's being able to normalize women's feelings after pregnancy, during pregnancy, being able to normalize just families. How does this readjust? What does this look like moving forward? That's powerful. So thank you for doing that as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, everyone. We will see you next week.